Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Four Horsemen. This is our third episode, and we're just going to jump right into it today. I think this is relevant for the three of us, being me, Russ, and John, with the first question that we got. For those of you who don't know, we put up a Q&A today, kind of trying to see what topics people were interested in hearing us talk about and what kind of questions people had. They were questions in general or stuff about specific things. And one that popped up a few times was, I guess, how the three of us started working with Joey as a powerlifting coach. So,
well, you were first, so you take it.
All of this. But I'll start with this one just because I was the first one to work with Joey. I think, Joey, I was actually your first client, right?
No, I had like people that were local. But I honestly, I don't remember. But you were the first one that I got that obviously like stuck with it this long. I mean, aside from Tina, you know what I mean? But that's different. But you were definitely one of, like, to my memory, I can't think of another person that I got digitally. That stuck with it all the way through, and then just like, I think you're the story that every young lifter that hits me up wants to be like. Does that make sense? Like starting from, what did you totaled like 14 something.
Yeah.
And then you staying, it's actually a nice story. It started, you get this lifter, the same coach, and you come all the way up to where you are now, all these years later. This October is going to be 5 years.
That's wild. Fuck.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
And John was right after that.
Yeah.
John was right after that.
John
was... Because 2015 was the first Nationals, I believe.
Yeah. And it was like...
Dude.
I competed. I did a USAPL meet in like June of 2015 to qualify for Nationals, and I had a really shitty meet. Like, I had run before that, and then this USAPL meet, I went like 5 for 9 in both of them, and I was like, fuck, I should get a coach. And I was friends with Sean on Facebook, and I saw him post like every single day, like, Team Joey Flex, and I was like, all right, like, I slid in his DMs. I was like, hey, how do you like working with Joey? And he said he loved it, so hit up Joey, and that's how I started working with him. I
just want to say a fun fact real quick. Russ, do you know what Raw Unity is? Did you know what Raw Unity is?
It doesn't exist.
Wow.
Okay, so Raw Unity used to be... It used to be a powerlifting meet where they would have... I don't know how... John would know. How did they... Who gets to do Raw Unity? And
so...
What fed is it and stuff like that?
It was like unsanctioned. And I think they did like a total of 8 or 9. I did 7 and 8. I think in like the first like 1 through 5 USAPL lifters could do it, and then like maybe even 6. But like my first year, they basically told me I couldn't do it. Like they started enforcing that stupid rule, and it was supposed to be like kind of a bring everyone together and let's see how everyone does. And
it was very, very strong. It was like the top lifters that were,
Yeah, like 2014 from 7, I think. That one was like huge because they had Animal support it, and that was when like Animals like had all the top lifters, like Milanichev, Dan Green,
Jay Nara.
Jay Nara and Kate Weber.
Those
guys were like dominating their weight classes, and they all came. And like, it was before
Jesse was there.
Yeah, Jesse was there. Like, what's crazy is like at the time I was like by far the most like unknown lifter there.
Dude, you were working in the shadows for. Some people probably haven't seen it, but the first time I ever saw you, and I've brought this up to you before, was that ugly ass clean and jerk in Pete Rubish's.
Oh man, God, I hope that video is.
It's funny when
description for this podcast.
I didn't know.
No.
I didn't know John. I didn't know who John was. I saw his QT, I think was like 1650, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. Like, well, we could work on it, you know. And I was like 5 for 9. That's never happening again. And he did great at nationals, and then went on to win worlds. But you know, it's crazy because all of you guys, I didn't even know who Russ was. Sean, I was like, who's this kid that Sean keeps fucking talking to me about every fucking second? Sean's like, this motherfucker, this guy in Texas, he's coming.
First, so after nationals, Russ's numbers, the nationals that Russ missed, I think you squatted 600 for the first time after that. I was like, what the fuck, man? This kid's numbers are blowing up. But beforehand, you asked me, like, they had like the list of all the lifters going into the first prime time, and I think Russ was like, you were the last nominated one, I think, for that year's prime time, or close to it. Yeah.
Oh, you mean before? You talking about 2016?
Yeah. You had like a 15, like a low 15s total, and Joey was like, "Is this kid a threat?" I'm like, "Nah, man, nah."
Because he kept mentioning you, and I was just, you know how 83s, like, they look at every class, looks at their other class. I don't do this because I'm fucking, I don't. There's just Dennis. That's all that matters. I just, like, you know, the other guys, like, they're coming up, they're trying to see how competitive they're going to be. They're checking out the competition. They're looking at that, you know, 93 kg, 83 kg hashtag, seeing like who their competitors are going to be and stuff like that. And you know, so Sean definitely, it's so interesting to me because in powerlifting, it doesn't fucking matter who your component is, because it's not like football where you could do anything about it. It's like you just gotta lift, right? Yeah. But I do think that psychologically there are things that you can do that, depending on the individual you're dealing with, could affect them. For example, if you're showing up online as like this relentless fucking force that is just always, you know, having their shit together and doesn't show any signs of falter, somebody who is weak-minded, a weak-minded competitor, could see that, and it could, like, I always say there's two kinds of competitors, you know. There's the people that rise to the threat and meet it, meaning they're going to see their competition and be like, all right, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to fight this guy. And then there's people that see the threat and they're like, well, if I can't beat him, I'll just pull out and say that I got hurt. Or I'll just say, you know, I'm serious. Like how many times do we see it? So, you know, that's probably where Sean discovered you, I guess, how he discovered you. But yeah.
No, I mean, I remember seeing, I think, Russ's like meet footage. It was like probably the Aggie, right? As the Aggie was the last meet you did before.
We didn't have the knee sleeves. It just
no knee sleeves.
In. And I just started using a belt at that.
And then you got hurt from the belt.
Yeah, I think you said it was like your second time in the belt or something like that.
Yeah, I started using a belt leading up to Raw Nationals 2016 that I wanted to compete in. That I ended up dropping out of. That's when I started using a belt for real.
But I remember, you know, what Joey just said. Like, I remember it was either before or after the Arnold. Joey was like, "Hey, man, Russ hit me up for coaching. Like, I hope you're cool with this. Like, you know, I'm just letting you know. Like, I'm gonna be coaching Russ." And I was like, "Dude, this is like the best case scenario." Like, for me, when I see that, it's not like so I guess some other people, you know, they see that like rivalry. Like, if a coach started coaching at someone else in their weight class, they'd get like mad. But for me, I was just like, dude, like, this is going to be the best possible thing for me. It'll probably be, you know, good for Russ. Like, the fact that you have somebody that you know is going to like just keep pushing the envelope, like, this will be the best thing for
me. I think it is one of the best things that could have ever happened. Is also you guys became friends, so yeah. You know, I mean, you guys are like bumping heads, but it's like, you know,
Sean's the one that people don't realize. Like, Sean's the one that brought me like pretty much on the squad. Like, he was like it would be like every other week, yo, team flex. I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to leave my home because I was doing like, he was like coaching me at the time. So I was like, I don't know, like, it would be weird to like kind of leave my homie and like go with someone that I've never met before. And then at the Arnold, I saw Sean, and then he's like, yo, let's go with Team Flex. He said something along those lines, like before you dipped on out because he had a coach, or like he had just be back there for someone.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was like, shit, I don't know. So I went to the restroom, Literally.
I fucking
Bro, Joey's like in the stall right next. He's like right next to me. I was like, "Oh shit, Joey, what's up, man? My name's Russ." And he's like, "Yeah, what's up?" And then he like kind of goes away. And
I was in
like,
my singlet. I
think you're about to compete. You're like, yeah, whatever, man. Yeah, I gotta go out. So after that, like I just saw the vibe. I saw the team unity, and I did my research on like the hashtag, like the team. Was it Joey Flex or Team Flex or Flex Squad or Flex Systems? I started looking up all the hashtags, and I was like, fuck, like the way these guys like go about training is like along my vibe. Like I fuck with it. So that's when I eventually hit Joey up. I was like, yo, got any slots open, man? Like,
you know what meant a lot to me though is that I remember I saw Sean hanging out with you, and he just seemed like you guys are getting along, and that means a lot to me. Is if you get along with everybody's gonna be cool, and stuff like that. That's like that's an in basically. It's like a connection essentially. Also, what the fuck was I gonna say? Shit, I just forgot. I don't know what I was gonna say. I was gonna say something about you guys competing with each other. What were we talking about? Competing with each other, looking at each other. Yeah, I mean
friends, but like we butt heads when we compete.
Yeah, I mean you guys are pushing each other, and that having someone like with you to kind of push you like that, I cannot show you like that is so valuable, and it's one of those things that I think it's kind of rare, honestly. The understanding that you guys have of each other, the respect that you guys have for each other. I think we're kind of seeing it. I don't know if we're seeing it too much publicly, but I know that like Ashton and Keiko are like, every time each one of them hits a big lift, they dab each other up. I fucking love that shit amongst competitors.
I'm leaving.
Now, John, go ahead. Hit him with another one. Here, I'll hit him with you.
I got one.
But yeah, so that's how the boys found me, and I'm glad that you guys did, and I think we've shown what can happen when you guys are working hard and doing what you're supposed to do. And Russ, actually, I don't know if you saw it, but today we got tagged this shit like gets me in the feels, like a young lifter. I think he's like 17. He tagged us both, Russ. He was like just talking about people that inspire him, and I was like, shit, man, like the youngins are seeing what you're doing.
I saw that.
Yeah, they see what you're doing. They see what we're doing.
Did you like it?
I did.
I should probably go back.
I mean, Russ is probably getting tagged all day, so. But yeah, John, even Sean, obviously, like it's just a wave, John, when I posted that you were coming to the state games, people started DMing me. The Cali boys were like, "Oh my God, is Cap really coming? Oh shit, can I sign his shield? Can you sign my shield?
Is Cap really coming?"
But I think that like that rivalry happened at a really good time too, like because leading into that, like we had just gotten done with nationals. And John, like, fucking beat everybody on openers. So it was like, there's nobody, it was like, like, the rest of the mortals are down at the bottom, and, like, John was, like, up top, beat us all with his openers, and then he leaves. Like, he's just like, all right, I'm out. Because he, you just left feds, right? So it was just like, all right, so, like, obviously you want to keep competing to get better, but there's, like, needs to be, like, the next opponent. And, like,
yeah.
Having Russ come in, and then it's like you're on the same team, so you know that like you're both going to be making steady progress. It was just like it established the new standard for the class.
Yeah, it takes out the whole thing of like, well, I could beat him because he fucked up. No. There's not going to be no fuck ups. He's just gonna he's gonna be on points.
Wait, was your competition against Brett in 2015?
16.
That was 2016 Arnold.
No.
Against Brett.
Oh, 2016 Worlds, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it was after the meet that I couldn't make it to?
Yeah, I did nationals after Worlds.
Yeah, so it was 20.
Yeah, it was before. So it was before the meet that you couldn't.
Okay.
And then October 2016 was nationals that you couldn't make it to.
Okay, got you. I remember because I remember like when I first started getting into powerlifting, I was like, well, like I immediately wanted to know who was at the top of the class because I like as a football player, I came in, I'm like, I think I have a pretty good base. Like I could build on this. Like I want to figure out who's next to me. Like what could I do? So I told my coach my numbers and shit like that. I was like, well, who's number one? And it's like it said John Hack from Wisconsin. I was like, what the fuck? I looked at the numbers. I was like, I looked at my coach. I was like, he's hitting these numbers. I was like, he's hitting these numbers for real. And like, I just remember it was like I was just reading it. It was like an anime mode. I was like, Nani? So then I looked you up on. I looked you up on. I was like, man, this motherfucker looks so unassuming, bro. What are you talking about? He hits like this and this and this and this and this. I was like, what the fuck? So I remember, like, going forward, it was always like, fuck, man, like I need to get on that level. But I was always so confused. I'm like, how the fuck do you get like to that point? But I just remember like it drove me a lot, and I knew that like going into 2016 Nationals, the one I didn't compete in, I was like, man, like I just want to be able to compete on that same platform with all these guys, because I just wasn't at that point yet. I just started using a belt in these sleeves, so yeah, I just remember that time. It was really weird. It was really fun, actually.
What we got next, brother?
Yeah, man. It'd be cool. It would be well, John. Your numbers are retarded right now, but it would be pretty sick if we were all able to compete on the same platform at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know when.
I think that deadlift that I had today, I think that was like a stiff bar. At least it wasn't like a deadlift bar.
It was a stiffy. It looked like
I was like, what the fuck?
It didn't have a lot of
so like I'm pretty happy with how like I could still pull on like a stiff bar.
Still got
Still got it.
All right. One of the next questions that we got, and I think most of us, I'm looking at you, Joey, because you're the odd one out, but I would say most of us are on the same page with diet. Somebody asked, given that
I can talk about this all day.
given that we're all, considered, top of our weight classes or at, near the top of our weight classes, people want to know like what our approach to our diet is, what our diet's like, and just, day-to-day stuff like that. Just Joey.
I'll go first because I'll be quick.
Pizza rolls and
no, so I pretty much eat whatever I want. But I've eaten whatever I want, whether I've been 260 or whether I've been 225. It didn't matter. It's just once you set your calorie limit. Once I hit it, if I'm dieting, I'm done. That's it. I'll drink like something like this. This is taupe, but it'll be like BCAAs or something with flavor. If I'm dieting, if I'm not dieting, I just make sure that I'm hitting protein, and then I just kind of go by feel. But I always, if I can, if depending on my goals at the time, I always want to be eating into a competition, or at least enough to where I don't feel like my diet is affecting my training in a way. It's just taking that variable out of it. And my characteristics as a heavier lifter are very different than that of like when I'm a lighter lifter. I'm more durable. I don't need to do as much work to see as much progress. I feel like that has partly to do with because I'm eating so much, so I'm like getting like sustained, like I'm just more anabolic, I guess you could say, throughout the week, because I'm just eating more. But like the stuff that I eat, if I'm with Tina, I'm literally eating like specifically only whole foods, like real, just eggs, bread, rice, meat, things like that. When I'm on my own, I'm eating like literally like $1 frozen burritos and like $1 fucking the Crustables. I was telling Sean about Crustables, which you need with milk.
Dude, I fucking love Crustables.
If you don't have milk though, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like it's so dry. I have whey, all the whey shakes. Try to do at least 2 scoops a day. I should do 4 because it's really hard for me to eat. I mean, Sean, you could talk about. I think Sean, like he eats a ton of protein. Obviously, he has to hit his protein, but like eating 250 grams of protein from just food is like so hard for me. I actually don't eat a lot of amount. I just eat like really calorically dense food, like and that just very frequently. So like being this heavy is like, yeah, I have to eat. I can't like not pay attention to it or I'll just drop. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much how I eat. I think people are gonna be more fascinated with like, you guys are very lean and you guys have to like really pay attention to kind of maintain your physique, or are you guys like I just kind of eat by feel or what?
Well, John, you're on RP, right? Like you use
No, I'm on hybrid.
Oh, hybrid.
No, so I do hybrid. But they give you macros, and I follow them pretty closely, but I travel a lot, so sometimes it's not as easy to track. You know, I don't know what's in the Marriott hotel's breakfast foods. So, like when I'm traveling, the biggest thing is for me to get like my protein in, and then I just kind of listen to my body for carbs and fat.
Is there like a go-to like breakfast food that you have, or you just kind of have whatever you can because you're traveling so much?
When I'm traveling, I just pick a hotel with like a buffet in the morning. So it's usually like Greek yogurt, milk. They have like omelets and bacon. A lot of protein. So I get like so much money per day for meals, and like even if I like only spend so much money on food, I still get to like expense the same amount of money. So like I try and eat as cheap as possible.
Yeah,
Make the rest of the money.
that's fair.
I'm pretty simple. Like if I'm out of meat, I just make sure my weight doesn't go up above like 195. And as I'm getting closer to me, I just make sure I'm getting 190. Like I'm near 190. That's pretty much it. Like if anything, the only thing that I change whenever I'm prepping for meat is like I just start counting my calories. I don't even really count that strictly. Like all I have to do is just start preparing my own meals and like just have like little very loose guidelines to abide by. It's like, all right, I need a certain amount of protein, carbs, I should be all right, fats, I should be all right. So it's just like I just eat as such a surplus whenever I'm not in prep. Anything that I do like inside the kitchen is gonna make up for that. So I'll just lose weight gradually and I'll be fine.
I think where you're at is a good place for people to kind of want to get to, where if you're kind of eating whatever, unless you're a jackass like me, you're not really going to go over 195. But you know when it's time to kind of buckle down, you just clean it up a little bit. You know what I mean? It's not really too bad of a thing. I would say, you know, if you're getting your protein in every meal and you're hitting your, you know, you're staying within your calories, you're going to be fine for the most part. Usually carbs and fat handles itself. But you do have rare times when, like, I only had fucking 100 carbs today somehow because I wasn't, like, you just don't pay attention to.
Like today is just not, like, today's a good example of that. Like, I did not, this is really bad. People always get confused when I say this shit. But, so this morning I woke up and I went to the gym probably like around 10 o'clock. Didn't have breakfast. I drank some pre-workout. I finished up my workout. I had a great workout. Felt strong. Came back home, and my friend was like, "Yo, I want to come through and swim." So I'm like, "All right, bet." So like, I didn't want to eat any food because I didn't want to be like fat at the pool. You know what I'm saying? So
Obviously.
I didn't eat anything. We went to the pool, we just chilled, and I wasn't hungry all the way up until 8 o'clock. And I just had my first meal, like literally. Like I'm literally.
What the fuck?
I'll be honest, I can do that too. Like,
I mean,
I just like forget to eat something.
From like a data perspective, like muscle protein synthesis needs to happen, and you gotta keep hitting your protein.
In between that, like I always have a post-workout shake that like 50 grams of protein, and oh shit, that was it. Yeah, and then I had my post-workout shake, and that was it all the way up until 8 o'clock, and then that's when I had my first meal.
My only concern. This is
happens.
Like we got squat tomorrow. That's what I'm saying. Like,
watch, it's gonna be a good day on squat team.
Always happen. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah.
It's good.
Sean's like, damn, I have to literally pay attention to every macro.
I'm like taking grains of creatine out, just like dropping it on the scale.
Hey, Russ is like,
on days like this where I do forget to when I do forget to get like enough food in for the day. my next training day, I don't typically eat a meal going in. I will eat a meal going in to kind of like compensate for it. So it's like I know if I fucked up the day before, I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna have to eat something going in just to kind of like help ensure that something good's gonna come out of the session, rather than just kind of like just winging it and like fuck it.
I don't think
What'd you say, Joey?
I said I don't think you can do that. I think you're gonna want to hit all those timings and hit all your meals and not eat at 8 p.m. for the first time.
I could not do that. Well, with me, so I've been. I mean, I think I was the only one here. I was a fat kid, so I've actually.
I was fat. I'm fat. I'm still fat, but I was fat in school. I was like 155 in like 5th grade.
It's okay, guys. We still accept you.
I was a fat kid growing up, so I actually ended up like starting tracking before I even started lifting. That was in like towards the end of middle school because I was in like I think going into 8th grade, I like saw 200 pounds on the scale for the first time, and I was like, "Fuck, this is not good." And like I was just playing baseball, but I wasn't lifting, so it was like 200 pounds of just like fucking blob. But I've been tracking since then, and for a while, like I was really, really like obsessively meticulous about tracking. Like I weighed everything out. I had set macros that I would hit, and then like after my first year of college, I kind of was just like, okay, I'm gonna hit my calories, hit my protein, and then like let my carbs and fat do whatever they want. But unlike you guys, or I guess unlike John and Russ, I can't go that long without eating. And honestly, if I just like let myself go by feel, I'd probably overeat every single day because I could just eat forever. I'd probably be a 93 if like I didn't have a desire to stay in the 83 class just from like how much I eat. And for a while, like I kind of got comfortable just letting my carbs and fat yo-yo back and forth. Like I think Joey remembers this. My junior year in college, I ate a pint of Ben and Jerry's every single day. Like every.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Because I wanted to go through every flavor they had ever made, and then I was just like finding new ice cream brands. Like it was bad.
Wait,
So
Russ
what's
did
your
that
favorite
too?
flavor?
What's up?
What's your favorite flavor?
All right, I got top 3 are cinnamon bun, milk and cookies, and fuck. Have you guys had peanut butter world?
No.
What's the Hulk flavor from Avengers?
Hulk up and fudge.
He's eating it too.
Or Stark Raving Hazelnut.
Stark Raving Hazelnut, a bit chalky.
Were these real? Are these?
No.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Real?
Ben and Jerry's had to have cut like a huge check.
Oh really?
Hey, Russ, you used to do it too.
Probably.
Do what?
You used to post your ice cream.
Oh, I'm a sicko when I'm not like prepping. I get Ben and Jerry's every Saturday night. Yeah.
You know what's funny? When I'm really into a diet, I like I don't know why, I just want like I think it's Breyers, I'm not sure the brand, but it's like it's ice cream with the Reese's in it. Like literally
Those are good.
Yeah, I like that gets me through the diet. Like I look forward to that so that I can like
Yeah.
My favorite Ben and Jerry's is fish food.
What the fuck?
Nah, that's good. That's a good flavor.
It's a really good one. It's got it's chocolate ice cream with like
caramel,
caramel and marshmallow, and then like fudge shaped fishes.
It's like a weird texture for me. It just feels like, yeah, it's good.
It's not for you.
It's good. Like mine's milk and cookies and half baked, and then shit. That's pretty much the only flavors I get. Milk and cookies and half baked. I don't like anything that has like I don't like peanut butter as much. Like if I could avoid peanut butter, I'll avoid it.
I don't like cookie dough. I like milk and cookies because it's baked, like they're actual cookies. But to me, cookie dough ice cream, I do not like it.
I don't think I'd get it, but like if someone was like, "Here's some cookie dough ice cream," I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll eat that."
Yeah, I kind of like ate so much cookie dough and cookie dough ice cream that I'm just kind of like I'm done with it.
Oh, I might have to go get some ice cream after this, to be honest.
Bro, when I was a kid, I was probably like eating fucking just like spoonfuls of cookie dough just because I was obese.
Sean, what was your motivation to lose weight when you were a fat kid?
My motivation to lose weight when I was a fat kid. Girls.
Yeah, that was mine 100%.
I think that's
100%.
I just remember, like, I never, like my friends would, like, joke about me being fat, and, like, that wasn't something that bugged me, but, like, the thing that would bug me was, like, I was in, like, 6th or 7th grade, whatever, and, like, it would be, like, the end of the year pool party, right? And, like, I could not stand. Like, I would just go outside, and I would just be, like, I'd, like, look down at myself shirtless. I'm like, I cannot be around people.
Hey, can the thumbnail for this video be Fat Sean?
Dude, I have pictures of me when I was fat. I have one really good one I could
thumbnail right there.
But dude,
all of us just, like, looking disgusting.
But dude, that was the motivation, because, like, you just, like, you get to an age, right, where, like, girls and guys start hanging out with each other, and, like, your perception to people of the people of the opposite sex fucking becomes important, and you're just like, all right, I need to make a change. And I lost 55 pounds in a year.
Yeah. What was your form of energy expenditure?
So I was playing baseball a lot, so, like, it also worked out well that, like, baseball started to get more intense around that time. Like, there was one summer I probably played, like, 50, 60 games. And we were also, like, playing in mostly, like, South Florida, Texas, or not Texas, I'm sorry, Georgia.
Hot as fuck.
Yeah, hot as fuck all summer. And then I started distance running. Like, I eventually got really fast at the mile, and then just counting calories. And
what was your fastest mile?
4:57.
Holy fuck!
Did you guys run track?
I did middle school.
So I threw shot put, but I also did the Fat Man Relay. I was, like, shredded, but it's called the Fat Man Relay. And I remember they had me run because somebody was missing. They had me run as a rabbit. Do you guys know what a rabbit? It's like a decoy, basically. And you basically send a guy in, and on the 800 meter, so 2 laps, I think. Pretty sure it's 2 laps. You run the first lap fast as shit, right? So I ran the first lap, and I'm, like, smashing everyone. And, like, honestly, the most painful sprint for me, I think, is 1 lap as fast as you can. 1 lap as hard as you can. By the end of it, everything hurts. It's so, like, sprinting 100 meters is easy. 100 meters, that's fine. But 400, it's a special type of person that is fast at that, because that shit hurts.
Dude, I remember in middle school track, the 400 was considered long distance.
Oh, yeah. And that's 1 lap, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, short legs. So for long distance team, they would literally just be like, for their practice, they'd just be like, run, like, around town for the next 40 minutes and, like, come back. And so I was, like, always a sprinter, but I signed up for the 400 for, like, the last 3 meets so that I could run with the long distance team, because we would always just run to this restaurant that had free samples, eat, and then we'd go to a kid's house and play, like, video games, and then we'd come back and be like, oh, God, rough one, coach. We ran to the other side of town and back. I think we ran, like, 5-10 miles. I don't know.
Bro, the 400 is definitely the toughest one, because, like,
it's like,
dude.
You're
essentially, like, there's no pacing yourself, right? Like, you are in those top speed mechanics that you get to only in, like, the last 40 or 50 of the 100, or the last 100 of the 200. But you literally just have to keep that up for the entire lap. Like, it's not a long distance run. Like, you are in sprint mechanics for an entire fucking lap, and it's just, like, that shit is brutal.
I honestly think I could, like, the 800 for me was the hardest.
2 laps?
I wish a coach would sign me up to do an 800. I'd be like, hell no.
I'm telling you, man.
Have you seen these thunder thighs? These are not.
These are not long distance. The 100, like the 4-man, just 1 lap as fast as you can with 4 people. That shit's fun as fuck. We should get so hyped on those things.
Yeah,
like passing the baton and whatnot.
I got subbed in to do a 400, like the 400 relay, because, like, one of my friends, I think he lied and said he was injured because he didn't want to do it so bad. And I ended up doing the 400. Bro, I got short ass legs. That shit was.
There's like technique to everything. There's like the way you hand the baton, just the timing of everything has to be perfect. Like it's so.
The 400 isn't that bad because like you're not coming in at like top speed. Like you can't be coming in like that hot. It's a 400. Versus like the 100. I was in the 100 relay, and like the mechanics for the handoff was a lot different because you're coming in like
you're coming full speed, yeah.
100 is like you're kind of like gassed that last like 20. So it's just like it was different, but that shit was, whew, man.
I think this is a good way, Sean, to transition into
exactly.
You're talking about a painful.
Let's do a 4x100.
What?
When we all come to Cali, let's do a 4x100.
Bro, I'm terrible.
Like, I'm 100% serious on this. I don't know what our
20 yards, I'm out.
It will be so fun.
I'll have my brother do it, and it'll be like, you guys won't know the difference.
Like, we're gonna all be dying, but I really want to do this.
50 and then cruise, like just stride out and kind of cruise the last 50. Get a top speed and just kind of like autopilot.
Yeah, just let the stride frequency just like.
I'm done, when I hit the total I want to hit, or whenever my powerlifting focus, whenever I'm done competing, I'm gonna start playing basketball slowly, and then I'm gonna slowly transition and just start, getting lighter. And then I miss one thing I do miss is just being super light and flying down the basketball court, just like flying, not even thinking about my body, just moving however I want to move, jumping and doing all that, just being as
fluid.
Like with basketball, it's like what the actions I take are just a product of what I think, whereas like there's no limitations as to what your body can do. Does that make sense? Because you're not lifting crazy heavy weight. It's just you're just running, playing defense, and taking shots. Whereas like in powerlifting, it's like all physical. I mean, there is mental, obviously, clearly, but maybe I will be thinking about my body when I'm like my just pains and shit that I get. I'll probably be snapped up if I know that right now if I step on the court and I try to cut on someone, I'm snapping an ankle just clean up.
Oh, that's how I am with I used to play a lot of tennis, and I feel like just like thinking of playing tennis right now just like hurts. I'm just
I'm dead.
I could not cut like I would used to.
But yeah, speaking of snapping shit.
Picturing you playing fucking tennis right now.
Dude, I used to be fucking good. I could play both-handed, so I didn't like backhand. I would just like switch racket.
Wisconsin special.
So Sean, you have here toughest sports moment with a coach. Did you get into it with your coach, or like just some OT, some bullshit you had to do while on the team?
No, yeah. So that's what I meant. So I think this is a good transition from we were just talking about, track and field being a team sport and like how things are grueling. One question that I thought would be really interesting is that, all of us played a team sport. The three of you played football. I played baseball. And I recently saw something on Instagram which kind of reminded me of this. I think it was the tweet of the kid with like slightly red palms. And they were like,
my coach abused me.
Coach abused the football team because they were doing bear crawls. The kid's hands were just like, a little burnt, like turf burnt.
A little red.
Red. And that just made me think like of all the times growing up playing sports that our coach would just fucking put us through the ringer. So I wanted to hear everybody's like worst, like whether it was like a team punishment, because we got a lot of
yeah.
Probably the youngins right now, like if there's anybody in high school right now or maybe just starting college sports, probably is not going to experience that, for better or for worse.
Times have definitely changed.
But I would think all of us have gone through that experience of like, one person fucked up or the whole team fucked up, and it was like, all right, this is the like our coach is going to run us into the ground kind of moment.
All right, Sean, you go first because I already know yours, and I have to use the restroom.
You already know mine.
Oh yeah, we talked about it.
Remind me.
Baseball?
Well, yeah, baseball, but like what example are you talking about?
Just numerous times when the topic has come up.
Okay. Well, there was one time. So this is my high school baseball coach, and he has the best record, the most winning record of any baseball coach in New York. I think he had just gotten his like 500th win this year or something like that. He's very very old school, very like he's a hard ass. And there were times like if you fucked up, like you were going to be put through something that made you never want to fuck up again. So there was one game that we made two mistakes. One was that, we made a lot of errors defensively, which to him was like absolutely inexcusable because most of the time, like if you make an error in the field, it's not usually because of something physical. It's usually like you were just sleeping. Like you just weren't focused. If you were, you were playing the infield, let's say, and you were just looking off in the distance, a ball gets hit and like, either you weren't ready for it or you didn't assess the situation. Like, there's different situations for where, a player might go or where the ball is thrown to, depending on who's on base and where, what base they're on. And like sometimes you make a mistake where you just didn't think about the situation. Because that's what happens. Like in baseball, you need to like go through all the possibilities. Like you need to be like Doctor Strange. You go through all the possibilities in your head before the play starts. Because like it could be first and second, one out. It's like, okay, if the ball's hit here, where am I going? Or if the ball's hit to me, where am I throwing the ball or where am I taking it? So we made a bunch of defensive errors like that. And then another one was that he got pissed about. Like he refused to let anybody move out of the way of a hit, like of a ball coming at them if they were hit. Like you had to get hit by the pitch because that was a free base. It's like you are being selfish by not getting hit by the pitch unless it's like coming at the base. So we had one kid who just like more than once in the game like moved out of the way of a curveball, which obviously is not coming in as fast as a fastball. So he was just like, you're a bitch, right? Like you're selfish, you're a bitch, you're weak because you weren't willing to take a base for the team because you were worried about getting hurt. So we had one, it wasn't even a practice. This was a pregame. So I went to school every day at, I think it was like 2 o'clock.
You didn't want to get hit during a practice? Like,
no.
Guess about that?
Sorry. What I meant was this happened during a game. The punishment was.
Oh, okay.
The punishment happened.
So I was like, why would you take a hit during? Okay.
No. So the punishment happened before a game. So this was a previous game where we made a bunch of errors. A kid moved out of the way of pitches, and the punishment happened before a game. So we got out of school every day at 2, and games usually started at 4. And we would usually head to the field like 2:15, 2:20, start warming up, take batting practice, all that. If you saw coach out on the field before you guys got out there, you knew you were punished because it usually would work out. We'd start warming up and jogging, whatever, and he'd come out at 2:30. But if he was out there beforehand, you're like, oh, like we're fucked. So we get out there, and in the 2 hours before the game started, he had us all go through batting practice, but instead of batting practice, he just threw at us. So he set up the screen like halfway between home plate and the pitcher's mound and just hit us with 10 pitches each. And we just went in multiple rounds, just getting hit. Like it didn't matter where he threw it. He was like, you have
like just throwing the ball at you?
Yeah.
That kind of does sound like abuse right there.
That shit hurts, bro.
Like, Jesus Christ.
So we all had to get hit by the ball 10 times each. I think we went through that like 1 or 2 times. And then after that, we ran suicides from the left field foul line in the center field. I think it was 2 for every error we made that game, the game before. I think we made like 9 errors, so we ran like 18 suicides. And then we had to do a lap around the perimeter of like all the schools in the area. So it was like I swear to God, dude, wait, no. You're gonna love this. You're gonna love this story because of how it ends. So we start from our third base dugout, make a lap. We go along the fence in left field. Then we run across. There's like a elementary school that's like 500 feet past our field. So we go around the perimeter of that school, make a perimeter around like the road that you would drive down to get to our school, then go around the football field, which was like on the other side of the high school, and come back around. That was like another, I don't know. It was like a 2 mile after those suicides.
Oh my god.
And then we came back and were allowed to start warming up for the game, which we only had like 30 minutes left to do.
Is it dumb?
Wait, that season? So we had lost the game prior to that. This game, going forward, we went on a 21-game winning streak and made it to county finals.
Wow.
But that was like the worst experience.
I don't know if I let a coach hit me.
Yeah, I think like if a coach started like pegging me with balls, I'd be like,
I'm like, oh, AO,
Yeah.
fam. I ain't going to
like
make
if I'm like legit like risking getting hurt, like fuck, man.
Nope.
Like how hard was he throwing?
Nobody was gonna get hurt from it.
Was
Like,
he throwing like heaters, or was he like?
well, he could throw decently hard, but he also had like 5 shoulder surgeries. So like, just having
What was he hitting you, like in the ass?
butt, ribs, back, thigh, like no one was getting hurt. Like it would hurt, but nobody was getting injured from it.
Might as well just brought paintball guns.
But he had a reputation around the school. Like people like he demanded respect, and he like got a lot of respect from people, and like nobody would question that. Like it was almost like in a sick way. It was like there was the method to his madness.
No, I feel it. I'm just laughing because I'm like, shit. Oh, shit. I'm not even able to, like, I also, like, I've never played baseball, so I feel like the culture is different. Like, I don't know if you guys practice getting hit by balls. I don't fucking know. So.
No. That's not a thing.
Yeah, fuck. I don't know. That's shit. Damn.
I mean, mine's gonna take a while, so I'll let them go.
All right.
Russ, you never got OT'd?
Huh?
You never got OT'd?
I never got what?
OT'd, so like it's like getting punished.
Not me personally. It's weird. Like I've never had a bad relationship with a coach, like ever. But like obviously, like when you play team sports, you get punished.
Team.
Yeah, you get punished what other people do. I'm trying to think of like really bad ones. So honestly, mine has never been as bad as that. Like we had to do like have you guys ever done those punishments when you get plates and like you hold it up like that and like they'll make you do like stupid shit. It's like, all right, turn to the left, turn to the right.
Yeah.
Those in the weight room. I never got them from the high school coach. I'd get them from like our travel teams. Like
We got from wrestling coaches.
And then we obviously had bear crawls. That's about it, man. That's about it. Like there wasn't anything like too crazy to where like it would separate from any story that you guys told.
that surprises me. I would have thought you would have had a crazier story.
Well, the thing is like
My shit is fucked.
yeah, it's like I was like one of the leaders for the team, so it's like I made sure that people were in check, so we didn't have to do that type of shit.
Yeah.
Like I'd be very like, I'm like, yo, man, come on, like y'all really want to stay after practice and do this shit, bro? Like, come on, let's chill out.
Oh, that's true, but like it always works out that like because it's a team sport, like you'll just have one dude's like just slip up or like straight pass. It's like fuck, man, like
those dudes were just assholes, and like the coaches knew like you can't punish the whole team for what this asshole's doing. Like those people got punished separately because those people were like beyond help. Like they're part of the team.
We had people like that.
Yeah, it's just like this dude's just not gonna learn. So punishment separately.
For me, it was probably when I was playing hockey. I was on the Olympic hockey team.
Play every sport, man.
Yeah, it was. We were playing an exhibition game against Norway in Oslo, and actually we tied 3-3. But Coach Herb Brooks, you noticed that like during the game we were like kind of talking about like, oh, that girl's cute, like third row, she's hot. So like after the game, like we were all like coming off the rink. He's like, hey, like get back out there. And we're like, what's up? Like we thought we're done. And he's like, line up on the line. So we always did these like suicides. And we had like another coach who had like the whistle. He's like, all right, son. And we like blew the whistle. We went. He just kept like saying like again whistle, again whistle, again whistle. It was just like crazy, like to the point where like we were there so late at the end that like they shut down the lights because like the guy that wanted to like ran the rink was like, no, you guys gotta go home. And So we like started doing like suicides in the dark. It was crazy. And
are you skating this as a skate?
Yeah. We were like all on pads, like skating.
This.
Finally, like I was just like enough. So like our coach, he'd always have us be like, hey, like, what's your name? Who do you play for? Where are you from? I was just like, my name's John Hack. Who do you play for? I play for the United States of America. And then we were done.
Bro.
I feel like
that's all I wanted.
I feel like this story is from a movie, and John just told it.
It totally. Wait, I've never played hockey. What the hell am I thinking? I'm confusing my life with a miracle again.
Someone's gonna get it. I was like
wondering.
I was like, hold up. This shit's from something.
I almost like lost it at the beginning.
I heard you say Norway, and I was like, wait a second. Is that like?
I was trying to guys didn't get it when I was like, yeah, I was on the Olympic hockey team.
They're just like, yeah, John's probably done it.
I was like, damn. I was like, so this motherfucker was like on the U.S. team, like.
No.
Well, I mean, shit, he's strong. Maybe it's possible. I don't fucking know.
Oh shit! No, I knew someone was up. But,
yeah.
Crying. Fuck.
All right, man. You ready?
I saw like Sean got it pretty quick, and like he was left. No, I like in all honesty, I'm like Russ, where like I did not have any like single one where I'm like, fuck, this is like that was a hard like conditioning. I would say like our wrestling practices, we had a lot of really grueling ones. I remember one year, my junior year, I was wrestling about 130 or 135 weight class, and they would have us like partner up every day for our conditioning, and you'd have to like, we had this one hallway in our school that was like 150 yards or whatever, and you'd have to like grab your partner, you would do like fireman's carry down, he would like fireman's carry you back, and then you do like wheelbarrow down, wheelbarrow back, and it was like, I don't know, like 20, 30 different things. And my partner was a dick who was in the 145 weight class. And he would always like kill it. He'd like go down so fast, and I'd like be just like dogging it out, and be like, fuck, man, I'm like, I don't get how you're so like conditioned. I'm fucking tired. And then one day, he wasn't there, and I did it with the kid in my weight class, and I just killed it that day. Like, I was just like, what the fuck? This is so, like, the kid was, like, carrying 10 pounds lighter. Yeah. I'm just like, this is so much easier. Like, fucking A, man. Screw you. So, what?
Did you guys ever do Indian runs?
What's an Indian run?
You guys don't know what that is?
I probably done it.
Maybe. Like, what is it?
You have, like, so, I feel like this is so strange to me because I feel like, you know, with football, I associate it with like more intense training. I don't know if because you just make more mistakes in baseball, we got punished more, but like an Indian run, it's like everybody is just in a straight line. So
is it the back person has to run to the front?
Yeah, and the back person sprints to the front, and then they lead the line and set the pace. And then
we did that like.
Yeah, I didn't think that was that hard.
We did that like as soon as we got in pads, full pads, we would do that on just like to get used to moving in your pads. Usually when it was like hot as fuck. I remember Hell Week, Russ. I know you've dealt with Hell Weeks. It's like 2 days basically. Your whole
hottest goddamn week too.
It's hot as fuck, and it's like 1 week where you wake up, you do some kind of practice, you watch film, you eat together, then you have a little bit of time to rest, and then you go back to practice again. Unfortunately, those were not my hardest days. We had a couple of fucking insane OTs throughout, high school and college, but the ones that I remember, we had one day where it was like, we're just gonna run for 10 minutes before practice for each person that was late. And late is like 1 second. Like he's got a countdown. He would go, yeah, he have a timer, and he would go through the locker room and he would just scream out like 2 minutes. 1 minute and stuff like that, and we're just like, oh fuck, just trying to get all our pads on and shit. So we're running out there, and it ended up being, it was like 12 people, and so we literally ran for 120 minutes, and then we did all our practice or whatever. So 120 minutes running before practice was kind of hard. We also had one where we lost a game because one of our guys, well, it was like a very crucial play, and he decided to call an audible. It was a D lineman that called a stunt for the D line, and he just decided to call it. He just called it for some reason. And then the coaches were watching film, and they realized, wait a minute, we didn't call this stunt. Like, somebody called this, and they found out who did it. I remember that day, like that game when we got back, I'm in the locker, I'm changing, and I hear the coach just fucking busting his shit in the room, screaming at him. And then we didn't even practice the next day. The following Monday, it was we lined up like at the 1 yard line or whatever, and so we're all in full pads or whatever. They blow the whistle, you start running, and then the next time they blow the whistle, you just throw yourself. You literally just like dive on the ground. You dive on the ground, and then you get back up, you keep running, and every time they blow the whistle, like you have to just throw your body, and they would blow it. They would just like specifically wait till right when everybody's up, and they'll just blow it again, right? So we did that. Then we did that a couple times. Then we did one pencil rolls where you lay on your side. This is the hardest thing ever because it fucks with my stomach, right? I could deal with physical body pain, but when you fuck with my stomach, I can't handle it. For me, I'm just weak, right? So you lay on your side, right? And you're rolling like a pencil sideways across the field. And I don't know if you guys ever try this, but nobody rolls straight. You roll like this.
Yeah.
You roll like that. So people are bumping into each other, throwing up everywhere. It was it was just body parts everywhere. It was horrible, dude. And if you couldn't finish, like there was one guy that was just like, we did this towards the end. There was a lot of other ones we did. We did the up downs. So you run, they blow the whistle, you do an up down. The Superman thing. Oh, the bear crawls, running all the way down the whole field. Bear crawl. If you try it, it's really hard.
It sucks.
Your
what is it when you have like three guys and like the guy in the middle, like he like dives and like the guy jumps over him and then like
I mean,
what is that?
That was more so like when you're dealing with the pile, like when there's a bunch of people piled on just to kind of practice like moving. The Oklahoma drill, I believe it's called. That was like my favorite thing. When you lay down, they blow the whistle, you get up and tackle the other guy. I love doing that. That was like my favorite fucking drill. I mean, we always went against people that were kind of our size, but I remember linemen, they had to pop the tree. So you literally just stand in front of a tree and fucking hit it.
What?
You just just hit the tree with your palms, and everybody's palms were bleeding. Literally every single person did not leave that until their palms, like, till you were fucked up. There was one summer where we were running. I forgot why we got in trouble. We were running so much, and I literally told myself, if we have to do one more lap, I think I'm broke and I'm going to quit. Like, I literally thought to myself, I'm going to give up, and they stopped us. They literally stopped us before I was like, I'm out. It was crazy. It was crazy because I was talking to the guy next to me. I remember his name. I don't want to say it, but I remember him, and I was like, bro, if we do one more, I don't think I can do it. Like, I'm literally physically about to just collapse on the floor. And the hardest thing about getting all this is they limited our water. They didn't let us get water, so it was like you were not allowed to get water until they said. So that was the hardest. That was like literally one of the hardest parts. I swear there was I just remember my head hurting me like so bad to the point where like that was it. I was like, I'm gonna die if we don't call it here. The last one I remember, I didn't have to suffer through this. There's actually two of them. The offense was smoking weed on the bus on the way back from a game. This was in college. And literally that whole week, defense practiced fine, but offense was just getting OT'd the whole time. They were just getting punished literally the entire week for someone smoking weed. And the guy eventually came forward, but they punished everyone because they're a unit, obviously. And then this is the infamous thing that we had called the Tunnel of Love, where the entire team lines up in two lines. The entire team, you're in full pads. And we had 2 kill shots, meaning a free safety. He's usually the hardest hitter because he's the fastest and the hardest. Like, he can hit the hardest. Most physically dense person, right? And then we have like a badass linebacker usually back there, right? And we have one guy holding the ball. This is what we did to people that were scared to hit. And the entire team would line up in 2 lines. And the coach would give them the ball. So everybody's lined up in 2s, right? The whole fucking team. And it would start out with linemen, and then it would get to smaller people towards the end. And the guy with the ball would have to run through the pairs of people. So it's 2-on-1, the entire team. And then here's the thing. By the time they get to the end, and we were fucking dirty. Like, we would not give him a chance to get his feet. Right when he would get hit, they get turned around, and the next 2 are coming. Bam, gets knocked down. Coach, get the fuck up. And then the last 2 guys hit him. So you have the 2 kill shots. The last pair hits him. The first kill shot is running fucking full speed. That literally the goal is just kill him, right? Hits him, boom, he's out. And like I said, right when he gets up, he gets annihilated, and then everybody comes in and like, good job, man, you survived. This was abuse, man. It was crazy. But honestly, I never had to go through that because I was a captain, I was a good kid, I never fucked up. You know, like Russ, I was kind of like the mediator between like the emotional frustration of the team and like what the coaches wanted. And I would try to like explain it in a way to kind of like, look, man, like we just got to get through this. Just do what he says, don't fight, and everything, and it won't be as bad. And I just remember the girls, the cheerleaders, would stay after to watch the Tunnel of Love, is what it was called, to see whoever it was. It was like some gladiator shit. Like they just wanted to watch him get killed. It was nuts, man. But that stuff, right? Like I understand this generation. Like a lot of this stuff was really dangerous. One kid, I remember he got hit on the top of his head and he broke his neck. Like he had to be in a full head thing. Like it was crazy. He had like bolts in his head to hold his neck straight. It was insane. That shit's crazy. And I don't think, some of that stuff is just pointless and you're just literally beating people up. But for me and the experience that I had, I think it made me vastly more durable as a person, and just being at such a young age to deal with like that fucking madness and to just survive it all. It definitely helped me. Like it showed me what adversity was, and it definitely showed us, like when you go out in the world and you're dealing with problems, it's like you've already been kind of trained a little bit to deal with it in that sense. But this kind of adversity is rather, it's just practice, right? There's no repercussion afterwards. You just deal with it. I mean, you're gonna be a little sore and banged up, but whatever. Whereas like I know for me, even to this day, there's pretty much nothing in life that bullshit happens all the time, and I'm like, all right, let me handle this bullshit. But what's tough for me is like dealing with the health of a loved one, like an elderly loved one or something like that. Somebody gets sick or an animal dying that's close to me. That shit's hard for me still. I think as humans, we never kind of become immune to deaths in the family or things like that, because obviously they only happen a finite amount of times, and it's like very painful each time. So, but as far as like dealing with physical pain, football definitely, like what we do in powerlifting, the shit we deal with in a prep is literally nothing compared to the shit I went through playing football. Absolutely nothing, right? And I think as a coach, that definitely helps me when trying to relay that to people that maybe haven't played sports, and try to tell them, hey, look, like I know there's pressure coming into this meet, you have competition or whatever, but we're just lifting. You're just lifting weights, I mean, you're gonna go out there, you're gonna hit your little ultra instinct, your technique's gonna take over, you're gonna hit your lifts, and you're chilling after that. There's if you do bad at the meet, so what? You do another one. Who cares what anybody thinks? I think people care so much about, all that shit. But like when you're getting your ass beat in practice, you build camaraderie. I don't know if you guys felt that, but you build camaraderie with your team. Like
when you play sports like that, like you could take any type of coaching. Like if you're coached hard, whenever you like, I could always decipher what a coach is trying to say, regardless of like what Tony's saying. And so like, let's say, I feel like people get annoyed by this, but like, let's say I do a squat, right? Like I'm super happy about the squat, and I send it to you, Joey, and you're like, knees fell in a little bit, but good squat. Like
my guy's a little higher, something,
yeah, little higher, something like that. Someone who hasn't been through that rigorous like coaching tree would just be like, oh, then that's why I was shit. Like, what the fuck? Like, damn, I suck. Like, they'll internalize that one criticism, and then it's not
at the coach.
Yeah,
they get super defensive at the coach.
Yeah, they get super defensive. Nah, well, my belt was just a little bit too tight, so that's why I was high. Like, I don't think I've ever like when I send you something, like you'll say something, I'll just be like, word, I'll correct it next time. Like, I'll make sure I'll keep that in mind.
If I send you like this much text, there's usually something that's wrong. But if I didn't do that, we wouldn't be here. I remember when you came out here and you were at Zoo, and you were squatting, and I was looking at your squats, and I was like, hey, on your next one, like move your feet out a little bit. And I showed you the picture of like before and after. and it was like astronomically better depth, right? And some people, they're like, I get this. I actually do get this this excuse sometimes, and it's like, oh, I can't do that. I don't squat that way. It hurts, like, or this and that, or whatever. And it's like, just like try it one time. Like, just try it one time. It's gonna benefit you. I'm not gonna. I mean, I'm sure Sean. I don't know. I mean, the way that you lift. I feel like maybe I pick it here and there. With balance, or just because of our experiences with deadlift with you specifically. I'm always in my mind. I'm always a little like, gotta watch out for balance. I gotta make sure his pauses are good on bench. Squat depth, obviously. I mean, I definitely think you're doing better. But have I ever said anything about your tech and you just been like it hurt, but you got it? Or were you usually of the mindset of like, okay, I know this is for my betterment, and we're on the same page and we're trying to get better. So whatever he says, communicating how you feel about a criticism too can kind of help you come to the conclusion of like, damn, like, I know this makes me feel a type of way, but it's for my betterment. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think that definitely helps. I think if the lifter kind of, instead of getting super defensive and having this knee-jerk sort of emotional response, kind of goes into like why they feel they do X and why they think Y won't work, or if they try Y, this happens. Like, I feel like even if that happens, the coach and the athlete ultimately like meet midway to like come up with some sort of understanding on things. And I think that's kind of like if you watch old videos of the way I used to lift, like there was some point between where I was then technically and where I am now where you were making some sort of adjustments or some sort of criticisms of things that look totally different than they do now that like put me on the track to lifting how I do now. Like, it's very unconventional, but it wasn't like I didn't start lifting squatting as wide as I do or benching with a massive arch or anything like that. Like, it was little.
Dude, it's crazy. Like,
up to that.
Especially with your squat, it was just like, yeah, no one does this, but he's got to do it. Like, I think just narrow shit is not gonna work. Like, Sean just has to do that, and that's the thing about, even when you're talking about, there's so many, like, human bodies are so variable, and there's so many different paths to get to a certain endpoint or achieve a certain goal, that like you have to keep an open mind. Like, anyone that comes to you and says, if you don't lift this way, then you're wrong. They're literally creating a limitation on their own growth and their own like ability to, just teach people and improve by saying things like that. Like, when people say textbook, like, what do you mean? We're not all the same. Not some people, like me and Russ squat very different from you, and John, we squat very different from you. If you try to imitate us, you might get hurt. You might snap some shit up. It's like,
if I tried what you guys do right now, my meniscus would just explode.
I would say John is the extreme. John is probably the most upright person you'll ever see. You know what I mean? And then me and Russ are kind of like, just a little bit less than that. And then Sean is very, I mean, you're getting better at it. Yeah, I feel like you're definitely getting better at it. You're not as, I mean, here's another thing. Like, if you squat like a taco, that's not bad. Like, I mean, you might have to, squatting to depth is not a, like, not everyone's body's going to be happy with that. You know what I mean? Not everyone's body's going to want to do that nice and easy. Some people don't have the ankle. Some people's hips are built different. So, you got to find your best form, a form that works well for you. You know what I mean? You can't, I mean, it's good to kind of like, maybe you look at another lifter, you might pick up on something they're doing and apply it to yourself, and it might work, but you got to try. I mean, you got to try it. You can't just be like, oh, well, so-and-so lifts this way, I should try to lift that way. I mean, John, oh my God, I cannot tell you how many guys would come to me and try to copy John's deadlift. You know how he just gets it and goes? So many fucking guys would do that, and I'm like, you're not him. You're not him. You're not gonna do that. Like, trust me. If you fucking move your hand out wrong, if your timing is messed up, if you have anything wrong, you're gonna screw yourself up. So, I think I mean, me learning from coaching John, one of the things that I did learn is like his squat was so strong already with a high bar, with a mid bar, I guess you could say. He'll tell you it's a mid bar probably. And traditionally, you know, literally like 90% of people are going to be stronger with low bar. With John, I was just like, you know what, fuck it. Like, he's already super strong that way. I'm just going to keep it. I don't want to mess with anything. I'm not going to completely.
I remember you wanted to, and I was like, nah.
I wanted to try it. I think I wanted to try it, but it was doing really well. I remember because, and also another thing about your squat is like, it's like, I think quads and glutes grow really well, and you're not a very you're not a hip dominant dude. I mean, if you look at John's squat from the side, his knees are like way out, you know, and if we could correlate quad growth to like more weight lifted on the bar for John. So it's kind of like, all right, let's just build that shit up, focus on that, and you know, it's like I said, not everyone is gonna lift like him. It's like a very specific thing. I don't even know how we got on technique. It turned into an informative shit. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, powerlifting is all about personal growth, man. The whole shit, the football thing, getting punished and all that, dealing with all that. It's just like overcoming little bits of adversity over time, and then learning from those little experiences, and then applying them to like shit that you deal with in life. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's one of the things I was talking to someone about it today. What I love, why I'm still with powerlifting, right? Why I like powerlifting is because it's just the process of it is like perpetual, eternal growth. Like you're constantly always trying to improve what you've done. And with powerlifting, it is it's numbers, so it's tangible, right? It's actual, like, you could see a number rise, and we correlate that with improvement. But you also need to understand why things are happening. There's so many personal development keys that come along with you know, powerlifting, and it correlates to so many other things in life, and I think, you know, when you can harness that, it's strong, man.
What are we talking about right now? Let's go on to the next topic.
It's philosophy shit.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you guys want to. So this was tabled the last time that we did this podcast, but I guess like one of the topics that we came up with was like, I know Russ talked about it a little bit already, but I guess the rest of the three of us didn't. Was like, you know, Joey, you're a coach. I coach and was going to go to medical school, but that's not happening anymore. John, you work, you know, what exactly is you were a chemistry major and you work for
my company does water disinfection technology for like, we specifically do like industrial laundry facilities, and right. They process like millions of pounds of laundry, mostly from like hospitals. Like one of our big clients is the one that does the Mayo Clinic.
Gotcha.
That's where we did like all of our research and development. Like these systems, these like washers are like basically look like a semi truck, and they're like really complicated. They're all different. Everyone's different because they get different hookups. And then my job is to figure out how to install it, basically, without and save as much water as possible.
Yeah. So the question that I had was just like, what was everybody's, you know, some people have like a turning point, some people it's gradual, but I'm sure there are a lot of people listening who are like really confused or kind of in that like in between period of figuring out what it is they want to do with their life. And like for some of us, we realize that like, you know, everybody in this country is encouraged to go to, you know, everyone gets through high school or is encouraged to get through high school. And then like the next goal is like, okay, you're going to go to college and you're going to get an undergraduate degree. But there are so many people who like realize either before or after, like, shit, like this is not the path that I wanted to take. Like I have a more unconventional, you know, life plan, or maybe I do have a conventional life plan, or just there's like so much variability. So like what was your turning point that led you to feel like, okay, like this is what I want to do? Because I know, John, you were saying like you probably are, you know, you might be moving to California, right?
Yeah. For me, I guess I kind of always like was pretty like content with like working for a company, like as long as I'm like making good money. I enjoy it enough. Like I'm not like coming home just like every day like I had a bad day. Like it doesn't take much to please me really. Like I don't need to be like, I don't have that desire so much to like go like I want to start my own business and be like a millionaire. Like I'm okay with just being like middle to like upper middle class as far as like working goes, and then like powerlifting's kind of like separate where like all right, that's where I'm gonna like try and like make my mark.
Yeah.
So I guess like the turning point for me was like when I was getting kind of close to graduating. I was kind of like a little unsure of like where I was gonna be. Like I had a roommate who was looking to go to med school, and he had talked about being an anesthesiology assistant, and I looked into it, and I was actually like, really interested in it. But then I found out I would have had to have had that, like I was like looking at all the schools that offered it, and they all had like you had to have like gotten a B in like all these classes, and one of them was stats, and UW-Madison was like their grading scale is like A, B, 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 C, and then C, and I got B, C in it, so I would have had to like retake stats. I'm like, I hated stats. I'm not retaking it. And then I actually like literally fell into the job that I have now because the owner of my company trained at the same gym as me, and I actually like skipped class a couple times to go work out, and it was like just us there during like noon, and we just ended up talking a couple times and told him I was like studying chemistry, and then a little before graduation he's like, hey, you got a job lined up? I'm like, nope. I'm like, well, do you want one? Yes, I do. And end up liking it, so we'll see what happens with like me wanting to move to Cali, but yeah, we'll see.
Gotcha. Joey, what about you?
So
you might have been gone. So the question was, there are a lot of people who realize that the conventional path toward becoming a professional, whatever that means in this country, is like, you know, you go to high school, you go to college, you get a degree, and you become part of the working force. Like, when did you realize like this shit's not for me, I need to do something else?
When the only reason that I kept showing up to class was because of like girls or just to see my homies or something. I was like, whenever they would talk about every class was just about, okay, how do I get through this? It wasn't like, oh damn, I'm really passionate about this topic. I mean, economics I really enjoyed actually. Sociology I really enjoyed, for psychology, things like that, but you know, literally everything else was just kind of like, what is the bare minimum I need to do to get through? That was like my mindset, was just like, I don't care, I just want to get through. I was always like just very distracted about things. Like my mind was always just racing, and I always tried to find a way to like get the things that I wanted in life without having to suffer, right? I think we all are. But then there's this thing called an iPhone that happened. And when I got an iPhone, I was like, wow, like this is literally a computer. Like I can do anything with this thing. And I told myself, I remember I was very hurt. My back was very hurt. I was in the gym. I was doing lunges with 120s, and I really aggravated my back from an old football injury. Who the fuck does lunges with 120s, right? That's retarded, right? I was just a dumb guy. And then I was laying in bed with a fucked up back, and I was holding my phone in my hand, and I said, one day I'm going to find a way to work from my phone. And then this was right after I had gotten I had came back from school in Kansas, and I broke up with my girlfriend at the time, and I started working like a million different jobs. I don't know if we talked about it last time, but basically I was working like 4 different jobs just to make ends meet. And I was making ends meet, but I was dying. And then, but while all this was happening, I started to do powerlifting. But I noticed there was not a lot of people doing it at the time, like at all. And people started to ask me, imagine if I was the only powerlifter, right? There's only one powerlifter in a sea of like regular dudes in the gym, and people are asking me, hey man, like, how did you get into this and this and that. Also, we had a very, very big like USPA community down here. So like people just kept asking me, and I said, well, I'm already a trainer. I'm already a personal trainer. Why don't I start coaching powerlifting? Because people keep asking me, and there's literally no one doing it. And then, I made a post about it online. Then you came, and then John came, and then John helped. I mean, John winning, I think, helped both of us a lot. Just being known, just with recognition, and things like that. And but I continue to deliver. That's the thing. I wasn't just like a one and done. I continue to deliver. I continue to produce, and you start to build equity and reputation in the sport. And when I started, I remember I was doing all those jobs, and so I'm doing all those jobs, and then here's powerlifting, right? And then powerlifting started to grow, and then I started to realize, well, I don't have to do this job that I hate because this is doing good. Okay, I don't have to do this job I hate because now this is growing. And then it just kept going and going and going. And I will say that I got to a point in powerlifting, maybe it was like 2 years ago, where I felt very bottlenecked because I am one person, right? I'm one guy, and how much, and I was the only coach like under Flex. You kind of came up with me, and I think you're the type of person where you do fine kind of with your own thing. I think as long as I've been relevant, people have known about you too. You know what I mean? So it would make sense that you would build your own following and build your own stuff. And I remember there was a period where I wanted to kind of have you as a coach under me, but I didn't necessarily know how to do it like professionally. I didn't have the resources to do it like right. And now I've gotten to a point where I just became very, very much business minded, because my outside life, like what's happening in my personal life, the only path to survival became me taking on a financial burden, right? So in order for me to like fulfill this role and take care of, my family and things like that, I needed to grow. I needed to expand. And I started to get in connections with people that can help me like grow Flex. And like now that I know what I know, just like learning how to do taxes, learning how to grow the business, learning how to do things right, have a lawyer write up your shit and just do things like legit. I feel like powerlifting, like looking back, powerlifting literally, it kind of fell into my lap because it wasn't something that I knew I always wanted to do from the beginning. But once you get into that realm and you kind of learn, when you start to learn your value and you start to learn, what you're capable of, now I just feel like, with time, I mean, powerlifting is it takes time to get strong, right? If I stay with it long enough and I keep doing what I'm doing, I mean, now, like, look at what Flex has become, and I just feel like there's no limit to where I can take it as long as my heart is still in it. And I think, like I said, there's things about powerlifting that I hate. It's just like politics and shit. But what keeps me in it is like the interaction that I have every day with my people. I mean, you could relate, like,
No.
Yeah, just like seeing people grow. Like I said, the personal like development of it. But in the beginning, when it came to powerlifting, I didn't see that. I didn't know what powerlifting was. I just wanted to get stronger, and it was kind of like more selfish. And like a couple of years ago, I really started to realize, like, you guys come first, and whatever I do, I mean, people tell me, all the time. I'm sure they tell you guys. I'm sure they tell you guys for sure. You guys being younger and more relatable. I would say. I mean, I guess I'm relatable too in a sense, but that we're inspirations in some way. And anytime somebody tells me that, I'm just like, hey man, I'm just trying to lift what I can. I'm not in a position to. I mean, I'm not in a position where like lifting is like being the best lifter in the world is not my number one priority, but producing the best lifters in the world is, right. And I realized that's when I kind of realized as I started to find my place in powerlifting, I am way more influential as a teacher and a coach than I am as a lifter. Although my lifting has done great things for me. and really social media, like people bash social media all the time, but it was just like, I mean, look what Russ does. Like Russ fucking literally just puts his essence on the internet, and like people reciprocate.
I put my heart out to the world. So where is this going?
No, but like really, when I realized that powerlifting could be a thing, like a job, was like when I got an iPhone. Then I was like, I could do this. But what happened?
When did you get an iPhone? Like what year?
Probably 2011, 2012. 2012. The iPhones were big in 2010, 2011, 2010. They were like massive, but
I got mine in 2015.
Yeah, that was like my whole life story. So I think Russ already talked about like how he got into like when he realized like, oh y'all, I'm not for this school shit.
Yeah, go back to episode 2 if you want to hear Russ's story.
I can sum it up pretty fast. I mean, like I knew I was gonna graduate from college and high school. Like I was like, I don't think that's for me. Like I just couldn't see myself walking. And the only reason why I was going to college was to play football. And the second I stopped liking football, I was like, well, I don't want to go to college anymore. So that's literally what happened. So like, once I stopped playing football, I was already trying to find my next step. I was like, well, I know I'm definitely not finishing college because I was only going to college to play football. So after that, I was like, all right, I like to work out. Let's try and make this work out. So
yeah, I mean, dude, it works. It worked out so well. Like it's continuing to work out well. Like the thing is, like with being, I guess you said you would call yourself like a social media like entrepreneur, right? Like that's how you would kind of self-evaluate. Like there's no like real.
There's no way to do it.
There's no, yeah. Like what I'm trying to say is like if people value like who you are and like what experiences you are bringing to the public, like that's how you grow. And like it's awesome that social media gives people the opportunity. Like if you have something people want to hear, like just keep saying it and you just keep growing and you keep growing. And like that's what people want, right? So like,
Russ, why do you think people watch you?
Positivity.
Good vibes, weights, and just like what I like to say is that like, man, I hate giving out like. It's like I hate.
You don't have to say shit if you don't want to.
No, I'll do it. It's just weird because like I'm giving people like what I evaluate myself as, but it's like in a sense you almost become like I guess like a routine for people. Like a lot of people say that they watch me before they go to the gym, so it's kind of like I become part of your gym experience in a sense. It's like, oh, I'm gonna watch some Russ to give me hype for today's workout because I know for sure I used to do the same shit with like other people that I used to watch on YouTube. So I understand like how you can become part of someone's routine in that same type of way. And like you draw motivation from watching my videos the same way I draw motivation from watching other shit. So it's like, I guess, yeah, it's just, that's the way I would evaluate myself. Like I wouldn't say like I'm a Jeff Nippert where like I'm showing you like a breakdown of like how to do every exercise and all that type of shit. Like you just watch me for the good vibes, training and shit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the way, like, I enjoy watching your videos, and I'd imagine other people have the same evaluation of what I say. Like, I feel like whatever videos you put out, whether it's like you lifting or you talking about getting your first car, you posting a GTA like skit, like video game scene. Mm-hmm. To me, it's like a reminder that like if you go into whatever endeavor it is in your life, just like looking to like enjoy it and put passion into it, like you are going to have your best experience or best life in whatever it is that you're doing. And to me, like that's why I feel like people enjoy watching you so much. Like, there are a ton of people who emotionally are just like all over the fucking place, and it's like really polarizing or like just off-putting for some people, right? To like see somebody who's so just volatile or all over the place like that. But for you, it's like, or like watching you in your videos, it's like you just come into everything with like okay, what's the silver lining? What's the positive thing I can get out of whatever I'm doing today?
You know what? You know what's funny? Like I always used to tell people in my like earlier videos, like when I used to like be like super like motivationalist or whatever. I'd be like, oh, you know, guys, gotta think of yourself as a king or whatever. Um, like the way they know saying I'm inevitable is like the way I used to think. Oh, it's still the way I think about shit, but it's like if you like I never think of the worst possible outcome if that makes sense. Like I always think that things will work out in my favor. So it's like you're always thinking like success is going to be inevitable. Like whatever I do is going to pan out eventually. So I think like sometimes that's not the best way to think, but at the same time there is positive things that come out of thinking that way because you're bending. I like to think of bending the universe to your will. So like if you put good things to the universe, good things will come back to you.
Did you guys ever realize, rather young, that like wow, when I was little and they told me whatever I wanted to do, if I wanted it bad enough and put enough effort into it, I could get it. Like, did you ever like one day just like realize it, or because in my life, I just think of the things that I've wanted and the things that I've put everything into, and like I've done well in all of them, and it's exciting because there's things that I still want to do that I haven't yet like fully invested in. I mean, powerlifting is always going to be like I have to run my business. That's going to be like my number one thing, no matter what. But aside from that, there's other shit that I want to get into. I mean, like we all like other shit other than lifting, right? And I think people can watch Russ, for example, or Sean because he does vlogs now too, or listen to my shit or whatever, or watch John or whatever, and see like we like other things other than just lifting, and we're also like humans. Like we like what you like. You know what I mean? We like what other people like, and me, I think more so. I'm very I would say Russ too. Like I don't give a fuck if I like something and people think it's nerdy or whatever. I do not care because I can gain something. I can gain something from that and apply it to whatever it is that I'm pursuing, and it can like kind of help you, push forward and obtain whatever it is. I mean, Sean, like think of something you really want, right? Like you want to be an actor, right? Some people would say that's a fucking insurmountable like beast to try to conquer.
You mean everybody says it's an insurmountable beast?
Yeah, right. But I think enjoying the process of pursuing that, if you can find a way to enjoy that, I think you'll get there. If you can find a way to enjoy the process of pursuit, then whatever it is that you're trying to obtain is just it is inevitable. You're going to get there.
I mean, I think that is like the essence of like who I am as a person. Like I've gone through, and we'll talk about this topic after this, but like I've gone through, a bunch of, random ups and downs along me trying to figure out what I want to do. I've gone through injuries, like all this stuff. Like it's the end goal is always the end goal, but it's like every step of the pursuit, it just makes you want it more and more. And that's kind of like, I guess, how I would describe like what my experience has been in figuring out like what it is I want to do. So for me, I was always like, I was the nerd. Like I was like the smart kid. Like everybody knew me as like the kid who was going to go to some Ivy League school and cure cancer or some ridiculous shit. Right. And that was the thing that fell into my lap. It was like, my parents are very supportive of whatever it is I wanted to do. So I'm not going to, neither of them were ever like, you need to do this. But it was almost just like, it was assumed. It's just like you have like this fucking roadmap in front of you. You're like, all right, Sean, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to do. Like, it's just almost like you knew that this is what you were quote unquote destined for, right? So like I got into college, and coming from high school, like, you take classes because you need to get good grades, and it's something that like all of us, go through. Like we all go through that experience of like you need to do well in school, but it's like, what is it like for what? Like what are you really doing well in school for? What purpose is that serving?
Yeah.
Right? And like it seems like, at surface level or at face value, you're like, oh, well, you need to do it to get into a good college. And it's like, okay, but then what? Right? Because eventually it gets to a point where like, you're in college and you're getting these good grades, but it's like, okay, but you need to have a job. You need to be able to make money. You need to like be able to do something for the rest of your life that makes you content or fulfilled, right? So it's like there's a deeper meaning, there's a deeper value behind what it is that you're doing. And like you said, Joey, like there, a lot of classes, it's like, let me just get by, right? There's nothing that, they weren't classes that you were like really passionate about. And I think in America, like the schooling system is kind of fucked like that, where like it almost grooms everybody that way. Like, okay, how can I get through this? So
how many people go through that experience that you just described? They go through school, they get their bachelor's and they get a master's, and then they just do nothing. They just like, well, no job magically appeared for me. Like, and I've been applying nonstop and I can't get anywhere.
It just gets worse and worse, honestly, because just everything is so competitive now. And it's actually funny because having come from MIT, we experience this a lot where people on the outside are like, dude, you went to MIT, like you're going to have jobs just waiting for you when you graduate. And it's wild to say that is just not true. Like, I know people who were incredibly, incredibly smart in undergrad. Like, you're going to get a job, right? But like, in terms of like, working in the field that you want to work in, excelling to whatever position you want to, like, I knew a kid who like was 2 years without a job in the field that he was, that he graduated from. Right. So it's so many people go through this path of like what they're supposed to do. And when you're at the end of it, you're going to be exactly where you need to be. And it's just not true. Like there needs to be something more than just like, you filled all your check boxes of doing what you were supposed to do.
I remember I ran into one of my buddies that I played football with, and I had asked him, it had been years, dude. And I was like, yo, man, like, what are you doing now? And he didn't want to tell me. And eventually he told me that he was waiting tables at a restaurant in Santa Monica. And I didn't even want to tell him what I was doing and where I was in my life, just because it would just be awkward, and I don't think he would really understand it. I mean, people don't understand what I do.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and I started to realize, I mean, even I don't want to say it, but somebody close to me, when they were trying to get their feet under them, I was really thinking, like, one, how lucky am I? Two, it's really hard, man. Like, it's really fucking hard. People that go the route of just going to school, and like, I think I know there's some jobs that if you go to school for it, you will get like a doctor or something. Like, if you go through all the steps and you do all the shit and you put on all the stuff, it will lead to a job, but it's like hard as fuck, right? It's not like a fun thing.
Yeah, I mean,
but like a business degree, bro, like if you're gonna like, I honestly think that you could just pay to take individual classes about business and learn from a business guy, and then try to start your business, rather than like going to school. I mean, going to school for business, it's like really hard. There's so many businesses. Or not going to school for acting, going to school for business, going to school for fucking art, like shit like that. It's like, you just got to be good at those things. Like,
yeah, I mean, here's the thing, like, talking about what you're talking about, like, the kids who get, let's say you go to school for business because you want to like work on Wall Street or some shit. Like, the guys who get hired to work on Wall Street are not business majors; they're math majors, they're engineering majors. Yeah. But that's the thing, right? Like, there needs to be a deeper level past just like, getting your grades and whatever scores and being part of whatever, major. Like, there needs to be an underlying passion. And for me, I never had that. Like, in high school, it was easy enough for me to just take all of these AP classes or whatever and, get A pluses and everything, blah, blah, blah. You get to college, shit kicks up a notch. And that's like, for me, it started to test my patience and like my will in that way, because it wasn't like you couldn't excel without that passion, right? And I was a mechanical engineering major. At MIT, you had to declare after your first year, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. Like, high school is shit. Like, you have no idea what the fuck you want to do after high school. If you do, like, kudos to you, because like you don't learn dick. Like, you literally would have no idea what the fuck you want to do. And like I declared mechanical engineering. I was like, it'll be broad enough. I'll be able to like just go into whatever field I want to after that. And then I realized like halfway through getting through mechanical engineering, I was like, I could not work in industry. I'd fucking kill myself. Like this is not exciting for me at all. I was like, I cannot go and work for Microsoft. I cannot go and work for Google. I cannot go and work for Tesla, SpaceX, whatever. Like being like a cog in that machine, just it honestly like terrified me. Like it just, the thought of it was scary because that's not a way I wanted to live my life. I was like, I'll go to medical school. I was looking for I just tried to exhaust every like professional option to like give myself the chance to like stay on the path that was paved out early on, right? It was like, let me go through every possibility and exhaust it so I can at least say like, going to a top school was not for nothing, right? So I spent a summer working at a hedge fund. Couldn't stand it. I talked to the people who worked there. They all looked 10 years older than they actually were. They all told me about how they sacrificed like all of these personal relationships and family relationships just for work because it's obviously very high stress. It's constantly going. That idea just did not appeal to me. And then like recently, like I've I told my boss at the NIH that I'm not returning for the next year. And like I've given up on the whole medical school thing, and like want to pursue acting, which is like incredibly unconventional. For those of you who don't like know me personally, like I've like always been into like acting and performing since I was really young. Like I did plays all growing up, and then like in high school, it was just like, oh, like this shit's like, this is weird. Like I'm an athlete. Like I'm gonna disaffiliate and stop associating myself with like this group of people. And then like as the years crept on, and like the feeling of like, okay, I can't stay on this conventional path. Like as those feelings grew stronger, it was like, the voice in my ear came in and was like, this is what you want to do. This is what excites you. This is what keeps you up at night. And like, I'm only just realizing this now. Like I know Joey, with you said you realized when you got an iPhone. John, your chemistry job kind of fell into your lap. Russ, you realized after you quit football. Like for me, it's been so difficult because it's like you have to come to terms with literally like, you can picture like any field that you're going into as like you're starting from like step 1 all the way to like, or like step A all the way to step Z. And it like felt like I was at like step Y, right? Like I accumulated all this leverage and momentum over the course of years to then just go back to like not even step 1, but like step 0, right? Because like now it's like I haven't even like entered that world yet, right? Like I still have to like break out into that in order to pursue what it is that I want to, which is something that was like very difficult to take the step toward doing, because it's like, why would I throw away all of this to start something that like requires the same number of years of work that everything I've already done contributed to?
I think passion is the key here. Just to kind of build on that statement, when I said it was yeah, I got an iPhone and I realized like, yeah, I could do something with this. But when I started to realize that I could make a living doing something that was rewarding, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Doing something that was rewarding and seeing people grow and me growing as a person. And there were times like in the beginning where I was like, is this going to be sustainable? Is powerlifting going to be, around and this and that? And I mean, obviously powerlifting has fucking exploded. It just, more and more people are getting into it all the time. I think, especially with women, like the strength of women and seeing super strong girls now was so disruptive to society at the time that I got like a lot of eyes in the sport. And obviously we have like tons of girls coming into, lifting at a crazy rate. And I just think I remember when I got rid of my last in-person training client, and I just completely did everything online, and I had been very wary about doing that for a long time, and I was just like, passion is not going to die. My passion is not going to die. Passion doesn't die. People are passionate about lifting, and this is something that I want to I want to pursue. And to the young dudes listening, like, if you want to, how many people do we see with the camera in the gym that have like absolutely no following that are like trying to build that, right? Like to be in a position where Russ is at, for example, or where Sean is at. Or not Sean, you started your channel. Your first video, how many views did it get? Like no one is like the amount of people watching this that are gonna be able to just start a channel, post their first YouTube video, and get that many views is like non-existent, right? Like it's not something that many people are gonna be able to do. And I'm trying to think in my mind right now, what is advice that we have to people that are like, maybe they're going to school, they're killing themselves with classes, they don't know what they really want to do, but they're pursuing this degree. I'm not saying quit that and try to be the next Russ Wool. I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
like we said, push to something. Try your passion project on the side, and maybe there you go. That's the advice I'm looking for. Push for something. You have your passion project as the side. Keep doing that passion thing. Be consistent on it, and eventually it may take over and become your life. You know what I mean?
I think I'm gonna weigh in on that sort of that message for people who find themselves in this position. So like, I'm biased, obviously, but I definitely see immense value in education. I think
Yeah.
it's incredibly valuable, and I would not advise the average person to ever just drop everything they're doing academically. Like, it's getting it's very clear in society that like everybody needs, or not everybody, but like you will statistically be better off if you have a degree than if you don't. But you need to be real with yourself. When I say real with yourself, it's not necessarily assessing where you're at and saying like, oh, like, because I'm here, there's no chance for me to ever be an entrepreneur like Russell, or there's no chance for me to ever, be on a TV show. Like, you need to be real with yourself in terms of, can I come up with like an actionable plan for my passion? If I can pave a path, or at least have like this blueprint, this vision, do I have this vision for what I need to do to get to this point? Because if you don't, right, like there's that cliche quote that like a goal without a plan is a dream, right? Like, you need to be realistic with yourself and your ability to keep the vision alive and have a plan for what it is you're passionate about.
Shit, dog, that's some deep shit.
That shit, I was just like, man, I'm gonna let him rock with this.
Fucking keys. Goddamn. We just saved little Jimmy's life. Saving lives out here at the Four Horsemen podcast. Do you guys? Oh, go ahead.
Go for it.
No, I was gonna say some dumb shit. Go ahead.
No, say the dumb shit before we get into the last thing.
No, I was just gonna say, weren't the Four Horsemen like the heralds of destruction or something?
Yeah.
Like they brought about the end of times.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it.
All right, the last topic for the night, which I think will definitely kind of, I guess, parallel what we just talked about, was because I think all of us have dealt with injury in your life. How do you deal with injury, both mentally and physically?
Shit, physically, rehab. Mentally, just accept that you have new goals. Like, it's no longer about getting stronger, it's no longer about getting stronger. It's about getting back to normalcy. Then after that, you can set new goals after you accomplish that goal and set forth. But like, if you get injured and you're thinking about like, I still need to get stronger, you're just going to be depressed. Like, you have to understand that as things come up in your life, your goals are going to have to change. You're going to have to manipulate what you're originally doing to kind of like adhere to whatever injury that you have. Because like, once again, if you're just constantly just like kind of hammering your head on the wall, you're going to find yourself being very sad and very fucked up because you're not addressing the issue that's there. So you just need to make sure that you change your goals, change your mindset when you get injured, and Just make sure you focus on getting back to 100% health. Because I know, like, when I fucked up my back, I thought that was it. I was like, fuck. So, like, the main goal at that point was no longer getting stronger at deadlift. It was addressing the issue. And I remember that every single day I would go inside the gym and spend about 30 to 45 minutes just kind of like rehabbing and making sure that I was addressing my back issue. I wasn't even worried about deadlift. So, yeah, you just got to change your goals. Change your goals as your body changes.
Yeah. I think for me, like, the biggest thing is, like, mentally, I'm very much like do what you can, but you can't get stressed about things that you can't, like, change. Like, once that injury happens, you just kind of have to, like, I don't know, our coach would always say, like, fish, fuck it, shit happens. And I think that's, like, really stuck with me. Where, like, I'll be like, fuck.
Was that when you played hockey for the U.S. Olympic team?
Yeah. Coach Herb Brooks, you know.
I think Russ hit it right on the head. You're in so like when you're healthy, for powerlifting, right? It is a relentless pursuit of getting stronger, becoming smarter as a lifter, and getting better as a lifter and a person, right? When you get injured, you're still relentless. You're still doing all that, but instead of, okay, what am I hitting for my top set today? It's maybe it's I'm not going to do anything that's going to aggravate this thing. I'm going to make sure I sleep, drink water, do all that stuff, and let it heal. Or it could be, okay, I got some rehab exercises to do. The only thing that I've ever really had to really do rehab on, now that I think about it, aside from just getting stronger, is rehab is kind of getting stronger, is like when I screwed up my knee. I remember they taught me different movements that I could do to stretch my quads that I still do. I mean, I don't really warm up, but I do like very brief stretching because I sit all day in this exact chair, and then I get to the gym and I'm super stiff. So I'll do these same stretches. It's a way of like stretching the knee without stretching the front. It's like you're stretching from the top down, if that makes sense, rather than the bottom up. So I would do those things, every day. Just like I did everything that they told me. I kept showing up to rehab. I kept showing up to the shit that they had me doing. They were like, it wasn't Graston, but it was like some sort of, I kid you not, they had these like plastic sharp instruments, and they would put like some sort of cream on it, and they would like scrape the fuck out of my knee and my ankles. And the shit was painful as fuck, and I hated doing it. I don't even know if it helped me, but I kept going. This is when I had like really bad like knee tendonitis years ago, and I just kept going, and eventually I got better. But it's just the same shit that I did to get strong is the same shit that I did to get better. It's the same mindset. It's just different goals now. It's like you're replacing getting strong with like getting better, and then once that's good, you can go back to doing what you were doing. But I'm gonna give a shout to, his name is Steve Gentili. He's always hurt. This guy's literally always snapping some shit, but he is a great teacher in a sense that like when I think he just tore his quad. I was there, I think, when he tore his bicep here at Barbell years ago. But his attitude was just like, okay, like, let me get the surgery, let me fix it, and then let me just do my rehab, and then I'll be back. Like he didn't even let it bother him because he'd been through it so many times. And I am like that. I mean, I'm not tearing quads and shit, but I'm like when I strain a pec, I mean, it's really my pec, and then the last thing right after the Arnold is my hammy was weird. And it was just like, not letting it pull you down mentally is really important, because it can affect that path to recovery if your mind isn't in the right place. So just like staying objective, looking at the situation from afar, and just, okay, how am I going to handle this? Let me do what I need to do to get better. Sean, when you fucked up your knee just recently, I think the next day you were doing like the bar.
Well, the next day I was trying to do bodyweight squats, but they didn't go very well. I think the day after that I did like an empty safety squat bar squat.
But yeah, it's just like you do what you can.
Yep.
You get back to where you are, and then you can mitigate a lot of strength loss. And if your mind is towards progress and you are getting better every day, that's going to invigorate you. That's going to give you life. That's going to give you motivation. That's going to help you get through it. And, just keeping a level head and Like, as a coach, if I can get a lifter to, like, if a lifter gets hurt and I can get them to have the mindset of, like, I'm not even going to let this bother me. I'm just going to do what I need to do to get better, and I'm going to get back to it, and it'll be, you know what I mean? And not let them mentally break down. That's, like, such a valuable thing that they're going to take throughout their life. I don't know if you guys, have any of you guys gotten in a car accident before? I mean, Sean, obviously not, but.
I have. I mean, not me driving personally, but I've gotten in a car accident.
Yeah, but when it's your car, there's a huge weight that you feel because now you're going to be financially responsible for, I mean, if you hit them, your car's gone, you know. Have you guys got hit or hit someone?
Yeah.
And how did you feel? Like, did you total your car or was it just a bump?
It was a work truck, so it wasn't like it straight up affected me. But there was like a dog right on the highway and like caused like a big fucking like pile up.
Yeah, I mean the type of person that could just, you know, get in a car accident and be like, I'm not even gonna trip about this. Hey, let me get your info and then just move on. Like that's someone that I think is like mentally tough. Whereas like you see people that get in accidents, they're fucking crying hysterically, they're freaking out, you know, they're like hyperventilating and shit like that. You know, it's just it comes with dealing with adversity, man. That's like a kind of an overarching theme with this fucking podcast today is just dealing with adversity.
Yeah. Fuck, what was I gonna say? Fuck. Oh, I remember now. So, I've been through a lot of injuries. So, in a way, like I almost feel, I guess, kind of like Steve, like kind of desensitized to it. Like just like you need to come up with a plan or find someone who has a plan for you, to move forward. And I'm not gonna about code, right? Like you need to stay as relentless, but like you're working within different, you have different parameters now, right? Like your ceiling's lower, but you need to keep pushing on the ceiling. But one video, because I guess I can't put people inside my head and have the same experience that I have within. But one video I used to watch. I used to watch Average Bros, it's a Olympic weightlifting gym. So like if you know who Pat Mendez is, stuff like that. Well, John Rose made a video one time. I think he had this knee reconstruction. And the title of the video, I'll try to find it. But the beginning of the video starts with like, it wasn't like it doesn't have to be a literal squat the bar, but it was like metaphorical where like you can always do something. Like no matter where, no matter how low your low is or how injured you are or how, whatever it is. First, dude, can't be doing that, man. You're distracting me. But no matter how low you're at, like there's always something you can do. And I remember watching the video, it was really powerful because this dude has like this full, I think he had just gotten a knee replacement the day before, just a full-on bandage wrap, cast, something or other. And at the beginning of the video, he's just like doing this 20-second descent with like a bar on his back. And this dude was, a couple days before doing snatches and squats, all crazy weight. So if you're somebody who's had a lot of trouble dealing with that sort of adversity from injury, like I think that would be a really cool video to go check out.
Well, shit, goddamn, when your homies get hurt, send them this portion of the podcast.
Yeah.
You should just clip that and then post it as its own video. Boom. But yeah, fellas, I think that was a good one.
I am crashing.
Yeah.
But,
like half asleep. It's 11:30 right now, man.
Yeah. It's 12:30 for Sean.
All right, homies.
But
I guess Sean could close it out.
Yeah.
Well, I've got the real job that I have to go to in the morning, so.
Job 2 tomorrow morning for the next month. But yeah, guys, that was the third episode of the Four Horsemen podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We definitely got into a lot more deeper topics this time, but I think these really bring out a lot of valuable little keys, and then also kind of just give insight to like, all of us, are at the same place, I guess, within the sport. but all have come from different experiences and had different reactions to those experiences. And I think that's like something that everybody watching will have learned tonight. But yeah, that is the third episode of the Four Horsemen. What the fuck?
Russ, when someone sends you, for the Four Horsemen, wrap it up. Everybody say bye. I'll say that after.
Hey,
You know, like when somebody sends you, a ha 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 ha, but they're like this. Hold on.
Oh, no.
I can't even do it now. I can't even do it.
Wow, I didn't see that last one.
All right, we're gonna close this out. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next episode, and we hope you all have a good night. Peace.
See ya.
He's like.